um, of course, Garuba Shehu, who says Obasanjo's time as president represents the darkest period of our lives, and the former president is simply jealous of the president who has achieved more than him. And when he sees anybody achieve more than him, Garuba Shehu says Obasanjo begins to indeed attack the person. Ike Hakim, former governor of Imo State, lost 4 police orderlies, 4 policemen attached to him yesterday. He was attacked right in his local government in Imo State. He escaped with his family because he was in a bulletproof vehicle. The police orderlies, 4 of them were unfortunate. They were not just killed, but of course their vehicles burnt by the government that will lead them on the way. 17 days after the introduction of or days after the introduction, and sometimes maybe weeks of the new Naira note, is still very much scarce. For the first time since it was introduced, someone, a POS operator by the roadside, paid me with the new Naira notes. Remember, the deadline to indeed get rid of the old notes is January 31. It is clearly unlikely. Expect a reversal, a review of that deadline by CBN. Apparently, the CBN has been battling to produce these new notes. Well, the policeman in Ajah police station that killed, indeed, the pregnant female lawyer, has all of them been indeed redeployed. Recall on this program, TVT made that call saying they should take them away from Lagos, far away, whether it's Borno, whether it's in Imo State, whether it's Yobe. Let them go and serve elsewhere. And of course, the police in Lagos hacking to that call. At the time, many are saying, indeed, there is something happening within that police station because some other person was also extrajudicially killed earlier this last year by policemen from that station. Let me welcome my colleague, Shola Jaisimi. He's joined by Abulo Semwago.
Thank you so much, and once again, Happy New Year. We can't stop welcoming every one of us to a new year, and this is because greater things are expected, not just from the government, not just from society, but from each and every one of us. Individuals make up societies, and the more we continue to strive for the good things, the things that bind us together, the things that will exalt our nation, the better for us. It starts, like the federal government says in its PR campaign, change starts with you. Of course, I'm pointing at myself now, at me as well. Back to the issues that you've raised in the introduction. The interesting thing about it is that when there's a hue and cry, we see senior police officers doing what they ought to do. I expect that, when something or someone stays in a particular place for a long time, the English will use a phrase that you become part of the furniture. That means after a while you become dusty, there's dross all over you, etc., etc. We're not equating it to, someone in paid employment. You can't say I'm staying here for so long, then I should. No. But I'm talking about some particular work that requires deployments. If people stay in a particular, we've seen situations where, police officers, with due respect, I respect them a lot. But at times, some of them, they act like as if they're alpha and omega. They say, in this division, so and so. Rank and file also, it's not just DPOs or the officers who are, the officer cadre that should be moved. All those officers who are below the rank of ASP, even if they are not moved out of a state, they should be moved to different divisions within a state. Lagos has, I don't even know the number right now, the last time I checked, I can't remember. But I know Lagos has almost about 9 or 10 area commands. So you can have an idea of how many divisions there are. So if this happens now, we've heard now that about 75% of the officers in that command, whether they've not told us that the DPO has been moved or summoned to Dudua Crescent, that's GRA command headquarters, but the fact remains that not a few of them just believe that we are here, we can do whatever we want. So we reservedly commend the CP for waking up, even if he maybe have been instructed by his zonal either the zonal commander of Zone 2 in Lagos, which covers Lagos and Ogun State, or a DIG supervising the Southwest, Johnson Kokumo, or the IG himself. We are not bothered, but what we want to pursue now is all the officers involved who shot. We know who shot, allegedly shot anyway. We know him. He's now before a magistrate court preparing to be tried for murder before a high court. So that's a very interesting one. Let me go to...
But quickly, I saw a statement by the Nigerian Bar Association over the weekend saying, first, the police is yet to tell us the name and rank of the policeman that is suspected to have killed that lady.
Drambi Van D.
Yeah, the police have not officially made that.
No, they released his photos. They released.
It's from other sources.
No, I think what we need to...
it is from other sources. It's citizens that are doing the release. Correct. That the police have not... like when they put me on trial, temporarily put me on trial and withdrew when the outcry came so much and they withdrew and ran away. They mentioned my name, my age, my sex, and all that. What the MDA is saying is that they have not done this with this very particular officer. And another thing, you took him to a magistrate court that does not have jurisdiction to handle issues.
And the reason was clear.
Yes.
The Office of the State Attorney General, Boyo Shore Onigbanjo, mentioned that he was taken there so that they
get a reminder.
Exactly.
And it's from the holding that time begins to pass and the country will forget it.
No, Amechi, no, don't be so. It's too early.
But I think what happened, this is how it happens in the past.
And no, Amechi, we're looking forward. Sorry,
yes.
Patrick.
Yes. We have some situations where they will be held and then at the end of the day, nothing comes out.
Amechi, that's why you and I are on this program talking about this issue.
So we need to remind the police and remind the citizens that this is what happened in the past and it should not happen again, especially in this new year.
And that's why we're raising the issues and even name calling. You know, we in the media are very circumspect. And that's why you have said, as we speak, police has not said officer so and so and so. Police Service Commission said the officer who did so and so has been asked to be suspended by IG. So it's citizen journalism.
Yes.
And we're also riding on that because of the alleged infringement of the rights of a citizen who was extrajudicially killed. Back to what happened.
Let's bring in.
Let me weigh in on that.
Amechi, good morning once again. Good morning, Shola, and good morning, dear listener. Very briefly on this issue. You know the phrase esprit de corps. Over time, the police and uniformed men have been accused of protecting their own. And if you look at the comments on social media, it's like the police is trying to protect their own and deploy him to out of Lagos. Is it enough? Is it you know, when you look at the police civil rule, police and civilian relationship, you have killed a civilian, not a fellow policeman. If you would have said, okay, like the army, you have a court martial, you be court martialed, and you face the army and whatever. The police also have theirs, but this is a civilian is involved, and what the citizens are calling for is for the police to be more open, to avoid future extrajudicial killings like of this nature, so that to sound as a warning to other police officers or policemen who are out there thinking or angry. You see, I said here that day, Shola, that did you ask the woman to stop? Did you ask her to open her vehicle for you to search? Now, there's nothing big enough or that can warrant you to trigger your weapon. If she refused search, if she refused to stop, if she refused to cooperate, she's not an armed robber. Even if she's one, we have not approached a court of law. Just like the way we are taking this man to magistrate court.
Abulu, recall that based on what Shola said and what we have seen in this country, recall what happened with the Wadume case in Taraba State, where soldiers were suspected to have killed policemen, innocent policemen, serving their fatherland, shooting them in a cold blood manner and all that. What happened? The entire country, we on this platform, we insisted on justice. What did the authorities do? What did the government do? The Attorney General of the Federation first told us that they have to do some internal processes. They do their trial.
The court martial.
Court martial. We should be patient. We waited for after more than a year. If they came out to tell us that the internal process did not find them worthy to be subjected to trial by our courts. So when we keep quiet when this delay tactic starts, that's where it may likely end up. They should hasten up. And those that are being transferred, is this some of the officers that were present when that shooting took place? Are they those that will testify during trial? I hope they are not part of those that are transferred, because we need them right there to be part of the testimony.
That is why what we do here is just a little. That is why we call on civil society organizations that are into such sectors of the economy to keep pace with the development. You see, like in the US, developed countries, an issue that happened in 1946, they will still investigate it. Look at, I heard last week a man that was accused of stealing a serial killer in 1956. The case was, the judgment was passed last year, 2022. So I think for us to help ourselves in society, civil society organizations are set up to follow up such things. You keep track on it, and help the media. And the media too, there are crime reporters, there are security correspondents who can keep track on such issues and follow them to an extent so that the society will be abreast with the development. So that this will not go under the carpet, as Shola is saying. It should not go swept under the carpet.
Absolutely.
We'll keep it up so that it will serve as deterrent to others that are contemplating such
I wanted
act.
to weigh in on some other issues there.
Yes, I wanted to just mention that unfortunately, I'm very happy that former Governor Ike
Hakim
and his family are preserved. But I also have sympathy for those 4 police officers who were killed. It goes to let us realize that Imo is a hotbed of things that are just quite interested. And you know, when the federal authorities descend heavily on that state in terms of, you know, deploying soldiers, deploying heavy security, some of us cry out. We cry out and say, why is the place so militarized? But the truth is that, like the governor has shouted, he said, look, there are criminals who are trying to make that place
being used by politicians.
He called politicians.
That's why I don't want to even dance to what he's saying. But the fact is that we see certain things and we wonder. So the citizenry, we know the story. I'm sure you must have treated it last week. The young lady, an army officer,
who went missing,
who was kidnapped in Imo State.
Whereabouts
It's unknown.
Yes.
And we saw videos up and down. So these things are worrisome. They are scary. And the earlier my beloved who are in the East realize that this thing is not just about them, about others, it's about them in the Southeast. Your brothers are turning on you because they have a grouse with the authorities at the center. It will not all go well eventually. People have grouse, but what you need to do is to use the processes that are on ground to express your grouse. Violence and killing of people will not serve anybody.
They're not helpless, Shola. What do you expect of the citizen, the man in the East? Should he carry arms? Or what? The highest we can do as citizens is to keep talking to the authorities. Please provide security. You know, we talked about that Ebibiago in Ebonyi State, but reports have come that Ebibiago is serving the interests of the governor. Reports have come that Ebibiago is even attacking certain citizens. Okay, sorry for my pronunciation. So I think what the government needs to do is to work with intelligence gathering, as we keep saying. Work with intelligence gathering, and if these intelligence are gathered, how do you make use of them? The Southeast, I weep for the Southeast. I don't want any region in Nigeria to be under the circumstances citizens or residents in the Southeast are going through. We are approaching election, Amici, and I told you behind the studio, before we come to studio, that we're also approaching census. So if the country is not peaceful enough for us to conduct election, how will it be peaceful enough for you to go and be counting human beings and counting houses during census? So we need to put all these things together. In 2023, what are the issues that we need to focus on? Census is there, election is there. We need to also know that citizens cannot do anything rather than talking and advising government. They are providing intelligence.
Well, I don't know whether the government, I know they know what we know. But what I don't know
more than what we know.
They know more than what we know. But what we don't know is the actions they are taking in dealing with this We don't want to overplay it, but there are some facts that you can't escape from. For instance, a report says the security agencies are only in control about a quarter of all the arms in circulation in Nigeria. And it tells you that 3/4 of these arms are outside the control of government. Who are controlling these arms?
Of course, there are criminal groups.
Criminal
and different
groups.
People.
So-
but the government did a mop-up 2 years ago.
Yes.
What we encourage the government to do, because there's a commission set up now, headed by retired Major General, which crushed and burned some arms in Kaduna about just early December or late November, and they are trying their best. The thing is that we need to continue to advocate. Some say, I don't hold the view that citizens should have a right to bear arms. Some of you say no.
No, it's illegal. No, it's in US that citizens have.
No, I know.
rights,
I'm saying so. No, I'm saying the position I hold is that citizens in Nigeria should have the right to bear arms. As in, I can apply for a license. You give me the gun and all that.
What status will you be to be able to bear arms? Because you cannot say once you're 18 you can bear arms.
No,
nobody has said
there
that.
are conditions.
Nobody has
Now,
said
the
that.
commission you talked about, don't you think that they're just wasting their time there?
No, they need to. If we support them,
It is beyond establishment of this commission. It's far beyond that. Those that are armed, and when I say arms, high caliber.
correct.
High caliber offensive weapons. What we need, what the government or the next government needs to do is to think outside the box. The regular reaction, for instance, you mentioned if anything happens, you deploy. How many military operations do we have in Nigeria? We have military operations in almost every state of the federation.
Divisions.
Military operations, Hadikabi,
Hadikabi,
this one, Crocodile. The more we are having, the more the country is becoming insecure. So it tells you that this strategy is not working.
Amechi, you
We
said
will need
you
to
rightly
think
said
outside the box.
there is something
to
they know
get
that we don't know.
A different strategy, because we know that more people will be radicalized. It appears some people in the east have become radicalized the way people in the northeast and northwest have become radicalized, and some people in the north central. We know the arms circulating in the south even before this thing started. The next thing is the southwest. If we don't take an out-of-the-box solution to this, the number of arms in wrong hands tells us that it may not be purely a military solution. It's the headache for the next government and for this government, because they still have some months to go. They have to think outside the box. Are there issues? Are there underlying issues that needs to be dealt with? For how long can we continue to pretend that all is well? We are safe in Abuja. Travel from wherever you are. Travel from Lagos to Yola. Travel from Abuja to Kano. On the way is apprehension till you get to your destination, and it's getting worse by the day. So wherever you are, you find some form of shelter, security. You think you're safe. You're not like the ostrich that buries his head.
So solution here is that we have called during the serious security banditry in the northwest. We have called for collaboration. The security agencies and the paramilitary, even the civil defense, we need collaboration to tackle this issue. It's not just the police or the army alone or the military. We need the civil defense will have intelligence that the army don't have. Even the road safety standing on the road and the vehicle inspectorate department, they have information that the military will not have. So let's have a collaboration. We're working together of these agencies, because you have said rightly, Amechi, we are approaching election, and a lot of arms are in the hands of persons. And we also, don't forget, we also have ungoverned spaces. Ungoverned spaces where the Nigerian military or the military and the police have not been able to invade, free from the bandits. So whatever the political actors are saying, Amechi, they need to also know that Nigerians, there is apprehension. Nigerians are feeling very unsafe approaching election, and all acts have to be together and put together to ensure that people think well, reason well ahead of election.
Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, you may stay with us. You know where I was driving? If I'm the president, the military, they know where these people are.